Hello, America. Dave Hodges here, host of the Common Sense Show. We are the show that is freeing America one enslaved mind at a time. Thank you so much for joining us. We're about defending God, family, country in that order, and we have a special place for the oppressed. And increasingly, many of us are the oppressed. We're going to get into that right here on the show, and we have some important information. You might notice if you're watching visually the flag in the background, if that'll describe it for you. It's the US flag with a hammer and sickle over the stars. It's symbolic because there are major political figures in this country that are trying to turn this country into a communist country. And they are calling themselves the Democratic Socialists. Nice word for communism. And those of you who have your faith, whether you be Jewish, Islamic, Christian, whatever you are, you're in danger of losing your right to worship. Those of you who like to express opinions, you're in danger of losing that. Those of you that think that you should be able to maintain a gun safely in your home environment to protect you and your family, you're in danger of losing that. You're in danger of losing every single right you have because communists are attempting to take over the country, and they have made inroads. Probably the most notable exception, not exception, excuse me, the most notable example would be Mondami in New York. Well, we're brought to you by my good friends over at Iron Hawk Financial. And seriously, if you want relief for your retirement years, if you want something that's really going to work and something that could make you wealthier beyond your wildest dreams, because that's who invented this with wealthy people who wanted to be the wealthiest. And it worked for them. Now the information's out, much to their chagrin. And I want you to listen to these four areas that they'll work with you on if you qualify. The role of life insurance, and they're going to teach you how to make money off of it. Annuities, steady stream of income that can expand to unbelievable levels. Your wealth management strategy, how to do all this so you can legally not have to pay tax on this particular venture, completely legal under IRS code 7702. And then again, securing your financial future once and for all. And they do it in these four areas: annuities, business, liability, and life insurance. Now, they can't help everybody who comes to them, but they are trying to direct people into areas where they can get help to do better than they're doing. But if they can help you, this is a ticket to something fantastic. As I've told you, two people in my audience have done so well with it, they decided to become agents to help other people. So I'm really happy to bring this to you. Joe Lombardi is the CEO, highly successful, didn't have to be doing this, but he wanted to help people. Here we go. Get started. Go to dhhawk.com. That's dhhawk.com. And let's get this go rolling. Let's help you move ahead because this stuff is recession proof. And this is why I say it. Travelers, Aetna, Alliance, Anthem, and Cigna. These are sacred cows. This makes this recession proof, and it ain't never going to go away as long as there is a USA. These will be the last standing. You look at Mutual of Omaha, Mass Mutual, Guardian, fantastic companies that are part of the sacred cows. Recession proof. dhhawk.com. Well, let's take a look at something here that I think is really worth looking at. My. I just have to laugh tremendously that people just don't learn history. One of the things when I was a young history teacher that I emphasized was that communism never works. Socialism never works. It evolves into communism, and communism ends one way: financial ruin and body bags. Those two things go together. And also, till you get a repressed police state, they spy on everything you do. And people say, "Oh, Dave, is that why you're against flock cameras?" Yes, I'm for law and order. Well, I don't think this is about law and order. I think there is something a little more nefarious behind this. Because, first of all, the crime stats haven't gone down where they have a concentration of flock cameras. So the premise is flawed on its face. I am fundamentally opposed to communism, and I'm going to go back to why. I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian by choice. God bestowed upon me freedom, freedom to choose. You can choose Team Jesus or you can choose Team Satan. I choose Team Jesus. Why? Because I found out nothing else works. Okay, I think we all arrive at that decision by some measure of trial and error. And I'm so happy I made that decision. But what communism does is rob you of your freedom. Well, let's take a look at what the current communists in America, led by people like AOC and Kamala Harris and Elizabeth Warren. And Elizabeth, you still haven't answered our question. Okay, I'll overlook the fact that you have basically fictionalized your ethnic past. We'll just put it that way nicely. But I want to know something. You made $12 million in 2025, and you make $200,000 a year. Can you somehow explain to us how that happens? But yeah, I know you're not alone. Don't say everyone else here does it. I know that's true, insider trading and so forth. But how did you do it? I mean, one of the best services you might provide your constituents is the Elizabeth Warren model of prosperity. Tell us how you did it. Exactly. And then you wonder why people ask questions. And Charlie Kirk in the modern era taught us to ask questions. Then the very organization he created, TPUSA, says, don't ask questions. Shut up and just believe what we tell you. Okay. Well, that's kind of Elizabeth Warren's model. I appreciate, though, the fact that the communists of today in the former party known as the Democratic Party aren't doing that. They're telling you exactly what they want. I appreciate your candidness. AOC, I do not think you are a bad person. You certainly aren't a liar. It's just your political views scare the heck out of me. But I don't think you're a bad person. A lot of people don't like you. I don't like your political views. I don't think you're godlike. I don't see any evidence of that at all. And I think that the leadership attributes you bring are minimal. And what you want to do with your power is destructive to America. Let's get down to what they want. First of all, your Democratic Socialist slash Communist Party want to wipe out the Senate. They refer to it as the House of Lords, okay, inherited from Great Britain. Well, a lot of things came from Great Britain. Okay, the Mayflower Compact, loosely based on the Magna Carta, and that was transferred into our Declaration of Independence and ultimately our Constitution and Bill of Rights. I think it's pretty good stuff. We owe the Brits a lot. Yes, we had to fight them to get our freedom, but the culture, a lot of what we inherited remains intact. The Bar Association, need I say more? Okay, and common law, need I say more? Because law is based on precedent, judicial ruling, and common law. And we owe the British that. That's fine, but they want to do away with the Senate. You know, the beautiful thing about the two house legislature we have in the Great Compromise was that one house can't bully the other. Who's going to rule? Is it the population or is it going to be the states? Well, two senators per state makes every state equal there. Population makes more states powerful than others, but to pass a bill, the bill has to go through both houses and then jump over the obstacle of a potential presidential veto. The checks and balances are fantastic, and it's helped us maintain as many of the freedoms we have left because of this check and balance. They want to do away with that by having a unicameral legislature, and that is scary because here's how they want to do it. They want to pack it. They don't want just citizens to be able to vote. Anyone who's here in the country can vote. Maybe Igor from an Eastern European country just drops in for a day. He can vote. This is amazing. This is amazing. It means nothing to be an American to these people because they're not Americans. They espouse values that go back to the worst communist regimes in world history. And I don't think these people realize how bad this could get because communism ends in total totalitarianism, and we don't want that. At least I don't want that. And I won't submit to that. Now, let's get into some other things they want to do. They want to protect workers' rights to unionize. Bingo. I agree with that. I think we have the right to collective bargaining. First of all, you have the right of association. That's guaranteed in the Constitution. You have the right to freedom of speech. You have the right to redress your grievances with government. Why shouldn't you be able to do it with your employer? Of course, it should be respectful. It should follow the law. And ultimately, if you live in an at-will state, you can be fired. Okay, but union rights, I think, should be protected. One thing we agree on. Is there anything else we agree on? Not very much. Not very much. They want to limit the workforce to 32 hours per week. Hey, all you lawyers who are first year at the big firms, you'll be working half time. That's amazing. Productivity in this country will suffer greatly. The way corporations get around this is they create contracts that are performance based. They don't go by the clock. And they write into these contracts phrases like other duties as assigned, and that can take you over the 32-hour limit, or in today, the 40-hour limit, you don't get time and a half. I think that should be protected. I don't think that contracts should basically allow employers to not have to pay time and a half for over 40 hours. I think that should be corrected. They want family leave. Okay. I think you have to arrive at a reasonable figure so you don't devastate your workforce, but I don't have a problem with that. You see, that's the human side of it. Okay. But they have some really scary things. They are talking about limitations on free speech. You can't criticize certain lifestyles. Well, what if it violates your religion? Don't you have the right of freedom of speech to criticize? You don't have the right to intimidate. You don't have the right to bully. You don't have the right to physically assault. You don't have the right to deny them employment. But you have the right to be critical. And you have the right to sit in your house of worship and say, those practices are wrong and we don't want to be like that. You have that right. They want to criminalize that. And in some places, it has been criminalized. There are cases like this. I'll give you an example of the case I talked about with the data centers, where this guy was organizing a protest against a local politician who sold out to the data centers, drought-ridden area, driving up the water rates, driving up the utility rates, and he wanted to protest in front of his house on the sidewalk. They arrested him on 2 felony counts of intimidation. No threats were made. He didn't say bring the guns, act in an intimidating manner. He didn't do any of that. Now, this would get thrown out, but this is going to probably bankrupt him. Exactly. This is why government arrests people, knowing they'll never get a conviction, but they want to drive you to the poorhouse as well, let's put it this way. It serves as a negative example not to speak out. This is the Democrats, and we've seen this. With regard to transgender choices for children, California, this is a good example of this, wants to negate, or they would try to negate parental rights. In other words, parents, you don't have anything to say about it. The teacher and the doctor are the authorities here, not you. Shut up. Do you remember that? Okay. This isn't even about the transgender issue. Leave that out of it. You could substitute it for the hopscotch issue and stick it in there. You're telling parents they don't have a say in how they raise their kids. See, these people are scary. The fundamental building block of any society is the family. That's a given. And the Democrats continually do things to undermine parental authority across the board, and not just on the issue I mentioned, many different issues as well. Okay, so they don't respect the democratic process. They want elections that don't represent the people who are paying the taxes of the politicians. And you don't get an unbridled say. You get accompanied by everybody else who doesn't have a stake in things. You don't get to speak out. And let me remind you, the Democratic Party took God out of their party platform years ago. This is why I can't vote for him. I'm disgusted by the state of the Republican Party right now, but I can't bring myself to vote for a godless party. And they are trying to establish a dictatorship. And it's reminiscent of what Hitler did with the Reichstag takeover before the fire. Before the fire, he was trying to do things. And I see a lot of similarities there. Am I calling them Nazis? No, I'm saying they're employing similar political strategies and they are godless. And that should be the thing that scares everybody. If they can take away your freedom of speech and they're not governed by God, can they take away your religion? Pause for effect. I'm Dave Hodges. This is the Common Sense Show. I don't know what we do. We missed our opportunity in the midterms. Remember, I said toss them all. I said there weren't 10 people worth re-electing in the House. 6 of them voted to not merge Israel's military with American military and get you to pay for Israel. 6. Pretty close, wasn't I? And we could have cleaned the deck and started over with plumbers and city workers and teachers and accountants, regular people, with campaign reforms and term limits. We had a real opportunity. And we're going to live to regret the fact we didn't do it, because now we're choosing between rhino Republicans that have betrayed your trust by giving away our sovereignty against people who are godless. That's a heck of a choice, isn't it? Hey, clean up on aisle one. We got a lot of work to do. Stay in prayer, ask for discernment, and may the Holy Spirit walk with you. God bless all of you. We'll see you back here next time.